So the next episode that's going to come, it's a video with my son and daughter, Andrea and Kendra. And I just want to talk a little bit about when I knew I wanted to have children, I never second guessed that I could have a baby because I was in good control and I kept my blood sugars within normal range of someone who didn't have diabetes. That helped me to know that I could have a healthy pregnancy. There's some things I didn't know. Was I going to get morning sickness? How was I going to handle that? There was a lot of what ifs there, but I had I wish I would have had the technology that's available today back then. But even back then, I was able to have healthy pregnancies. So I continued my daily walks as I was pregnant, and Kendra was our firstborn. And I had something I kind of like to brag about, if it's okay, but I never was hospitalized. I never had high blood pressure. I never had swelling in my ankles. I just was so happy with how my pregnancy went. And I was induced with Kendra, which I wish I would have known, like that was 33 years ago. And I wish I would have known that I didn't really have to be induced, but that's what I went with at the time. So I was induced at 37 and a half weeks, probably because my obstetrician was going away and he wanted that baby born before he went away. So, and I had a natural delivery. Kendra weighed in at 5 pounds, 15 and a quarter ounces. She was 17 and a quarter inches long, just a little thing. And it was different after the delivery, but there's just things I wish I would have known. And my blood sugars just seemed to go really low after she was born, and that was really difficult. But they did her glucose testing. She didn't have a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar, everything was good. And then 4 years later, Andrew decided to come into the world, and he weighed in at 12 pounds. No, he was not 12 pounds. He was 6 pounds and 12 and a quarter ounces. And he was 21 inches long, and I had him at 39 weeks. So that was, again, I was induced with those pregnancies. And I did have to travel to St. John. Back then, that's really what they wanted. That's a few years ago. And Andrew is now 28 years old. Being a mom as a diabetic, it wasn't easy, as I did have quite a few lows. And back then, I didn't have the tools in my toolbox like I do today. So, meaning that I know my formulas now to really control my blood sugars. But my main goal as a mom was to make sure my kids didn't think that diabetes stood in my way, or their way too. So I think I kind of made it so that they didn't realize when I had lows or highs, because I didn't want to be a burden to them. And I just did everything every other mom did, but I didn't want them thinking their mom wasn't able to do this or that because I was a diabetic, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm not sure that was the greatest thing, because I'm not even sure that they realized that their mom was a diabetic at times. They knew I exercised, they knew I walked, and I just did everything as a normal mom would do. So let's just hear what Kendra and Andrew thought, what they thought in their words of me as a diabetic mom. What I was wondering, Andrew and Kendra, is as a child, did you think about your mom being a type 1 diabetic? And if so, what did that mean to you? Is there a time in your life when you really realized that my mom is a diabetic? Andrew, we can start with you.
Okay. Well, yeah. Um, Honestly, I think for me, it was just always so normal. Like, it wasn't like, when we were like, when I was like a teenager that you then like got diagnosed with it. It was just such a part of your life. And I think you worked pretty hard to make it seem like it was normal, even if you were, having to do a lot of things. I don't think I necessarily thought, oh, no one else's mom has to do this. It was just normal. And I think when I got older and I kind of realized, oh yeah, like, okay, this is different. Then I started to actually take notice of it, I think. But growing up, it was very normal to me. I felt like it was normal to be at Subway and you would take out your needles and do your insulin and do your pricking your finger. And I remember getting my finger pricked and my blood sugar taken as a little kid because I really wanted to. And I just thought it was so normal.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I didn't feel like anything was different growing up because it was just always part of our lives, I guess.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something you never hid either.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you never hid it, or like, and not in a bad way. Like, it was never like, we're at a, you weren't doing it for show. It just needed to be done. But like, it was just open and done. So like, one thing I would say is I grew up, and I'm still quite comfortable with like that whole concept of needles and like blood sugars and all that kind of thing. And so like, for me in my role at a summer camp, like when we have kids come that have diabetes, I feel pretty comfortable. That doesn't freak me out. And like, I always make sure we have Dex tabs and orange juice on hand and stuff. But it was just, it was so normal. I never really put any thought into it.
Kendra, didn't that freak you out though a little bit? Needles and stuff like that? Going to the doctor or anything? No.
Yes, for me.
But it wasn't because of that.
But not because of that, I don't think.
Okay. I'm just checking. Did you ever worry about my health? Like, you knew, like, sometimes you may have heard about complications of diabetes, but did that ever enter your mind that you worried about me?
Again, I feel like it was just so normal and everything always, like, usually seemed the same, that it didn't really cross my mind that much because there weren't really that many scares. Like, there was a couple times that I recall, but again, I feel like I was too young to even have like processed that all. But no, I really don't. I feel like you just took such good care of yourself that those things just didn't really cross my mind, or I didn't understand the gravity of what could happen, I guess.
Yeah, I think like, I never really was even aware of some of the complications that could have happened. Even I probably still don't really know the depth of the complications because because you didn't have them, but also B, because you were always, I remember always, it was a point of pride for you that you were taking good care of yourself. And then, when you would have a doctor's appointment and come home and be like, hey, it was good, everything's all good. And I remember you, I can't remember like specific conversations. And so maybe, I don't know if you want Clark to take this out, but I remember you struggling sometimes with doctors telling you what you should expect or what you could get or not, and you would always just be like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But to be fair, you were kind of like that in life, getting hauled in at the border, sassing police officers, etc. So,
Let's not go too detailed now.
All right.
No, it's okay.
No, but yeah, I never really, the only thing I can remember is when you would be out for a run and your blood sugar would go really low and Dad would have to come get you with an orange juice. And I was always just a little worried because I remember, I think your peak like running phase would have been when I was maybe like between 8 to 10 maybe, or at least what I remember. And I remember being worried because Dad had to come take you orange juice or come get you or something. But then, I mean, you explained that it was just that your blood sugar was low. But I remember a couple times feeling a little
no, that's good. These are good things that I just want to share with anyone who's watching it. I think these are good pointers. So was it a source of embarrassment or anything to your friends that I was a diabetic? Like, did that ever come up in conversation, or
No.
did you have any friends at school who were diabetics?
No,
Oh.
I don't think I did actually. Not like close friends. I personally remember telling my friends about it, and then my friends getting kind of excited. They'd be like, "Whoa, man, no way! Like that's kind of cool." And then and then they would like see the gym. Like I remember the boys getting pretty excited when they would like see your gym and stuff, and then just kind of like hear a little bit of your story. So I was never embarrassed of it, personally.
Yeah, I would have never said I was embarrassed
Yeah.
of it.
Okay, that's good. So did it make you feel insecure about, because I was a diabetic, my inability to care for you? Like, did you ever not feel safe? Or
No.
No. We were very.
I had a little bit opposite. I got a little rage sometime if someone tried to run over you with a bicycle, Andrew, or
Was that due to a low blood sugar?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't think that was related to that.
No, I mean, I
or
never
Kendra
felt.
at the border or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Again, I didn't
When
associate
yeah.
that with low blood sugar.
But I never
No.
felt
I
that way at
know.
all.
I'm teasing you. So is there anything else that maybe that you could point out or recall? Is there anything that maybe I might have, by the way I've lived and taken care of myself, does that help you guys in any way? Like, does it encourage you to know that if you do take good care of yourself, that the complications can be reduced?
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically for people with diabetes, it would be very encouraging for them to see that, and see that it's not necessarily something that you, I guess I don't have diabetes, so it's not something that you must experience, and that there is hope that you don't have to go through some of those hard things, but that it takes a ton of work and a ton of time and a ton of dedication. I think in my own life, I think when it came to because you obviously were very passionate about exercise and lifting weights and working out and stuff, and I think everybody in some way kind of rebels against their parents in some form. So for me, I rebelled and I went against the grain and didn't want anything to do with working out or anything like that. Part of that is probably just from being a teenager, and then but I think at times I would have felt maybe a little bit lost in the shuffle of, kind of your pursuit of excellence. You know what I mean? And I think that is kind of part of it. Like if you're going to chase something that's as crazy as being, what's that?
Attainable, something is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
or?
but far off though too. You know what I mean? If you're gonna chase, I mean, how many years have you had diabetes, type 1 diabetes?
It will be 60 this year.
So if you're chasing something like 60 years of type 1 diabetes without complications, also all your bodybuilding things and all that kind of stuff, there is obviously going to be a cost associated with the chasing of those goals, right? And so I just think personally, I felt at times growing up a little bit lost in the shuffle of the chasing of those goals, which was hard. But then as you grow up and you kind of see the body of work, and you also see just how hard you did work to chase those things, and that they're all those things are possible if you put your mind to it, So that was, for not to make it about me, but it was a struggle for me, and then it turned to a source of strength when I was trying to go through my own weight loss journey. I kind of had a built-in personal trainer to talk to and bounce ideas off of and all that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I think I would say like a positive and negative of watching that was at times you kind of feel like, oh man, I don't do those things, so do I measure up, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that
Yeah, because
answers your
sometimes,
question.
no, it does. Like sometimes you can get, I know I can get so focused on something that I just keep going for it. And I'm learning a lot in the last actually several weeks about that and trying to let it go so that you're not so focused, but yet still have those goals in your mind. So,
For sure.
so I really really appreciate you guys talking and taking the time. And I know you have little ones that I don't know if they're in bed yet or not, but
Yeah.
on their way. I really hope you enjoyed listening to my kids. I say kids, they're my adult children, because Andrew can act out quite a bit, and getting those two together, I'm sure you enjoyed that. So hope you learned a little bit too, because as parents, you may have one child who has diabetes, and then you have two other children who don't. So it's interesting to see just how that all works out. And stay tuned for the next episode with Matt Vandevet. I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's brought a lot of joy to learn from him. He's a great speaker, and I know that you'll really, really enjoy listening to him.